This is the final resting place of Edward M. Pike. Born in 1838 in Casco, Cumberland County, Maine, he's a Medal of Honor recipient. Before I continue, I'd like to thank you for watching this vid. Please subscribe, like, comment, share. Please consider supporting this channel via my PayPal account. The link is in the description of the homepage for this YouTube channel. So this is a map of Woodruff County, Arkansas. On July 7, 1862, Pike and the 33rd Infantry found themselves here. I'm going to read an excerpt from an article from the Encyclopedia of Arkansas on Edward Pike, Encyclopedia of Arkansas.net. I'm going to leave a link in the description below if you want to read the entire article. So the 33rd Illinois served in Major General Samuel Curtis's Army of the Southwest during the Pea Ridge Campaign. After Federal Army threatened Little Rock, Curtis decided to march to the White River in search of supplies. The Union column was crossing the Cache River, which is right there, near Cotton Plant, when advanced elements of Colonel Charles Hovey's 3rd Brigade, about 400 men of the 33rd Illinois and the 11th Wisconsin Infantry, with a cannon at the 1st Indiana Cavalry, was attacked by about 1,000 Texas cavalrymen led by Albert Rust. After initial skirmishing, Hovey ordered the outnumbered Federals to fall back to a stronger position. Noticing that most of the artillerymen were wounded and the 1st Indiana cannon was now between the opposing forces, he asked Captain Linder Potter of Company A, 33rd Illinois, to retrieve it. Potter called for volunteers, and Sergeant Pike responded as an act that would result in his receiving the Medal of Honor. The Medal of Honor citation says, while the troops were falling back before a superior force, this soldier, assisted by one companion under severe fire at close range, saved a cannon from capture by the enemy. The 33rd Regimental history characterized the event somewhat more dramatically, stating that Pike, who was as colossal in courage as he was in size, rushed to the gun, grabbed his tail, and ran down the trail with the cannon as if it was a baby wagon. Pike himself, remember the combat at Hill's Plantation, which is where this is at, the hottest place I got into during all my war experiences. The charge on Vicksburg was not half so dangerous. Hovey's men reinforced defeated Rust's troops, inflicting heavy casualties on the Texans, and Curtis' army would eventually reach Helena on the Mississippi River. Now, I really couldn't find exactly what kind of cannon the 1st Indiana Cavalry had. So, but AI said that it was probably a 3-inch Ordinance cannon. So I'm going to leave a link in the description below to Adam Galloway's demonstration of a 3-inch Ordnance cannon. Sergeant Pike died in 1924 at Chenoa, McLean County, Illinois, and he's buried here at Chenoa Cemetery, Chenoa, McLean County, Illinois. This is the final resting place of John Charles Black. He was born in 1839 in Lexington, Holmes County, Mississippi. He's a Medal of Honor recipient, U.S. Congress, Union Brevet Brigadier General. Before I continue, I'd like to thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe, like, comment, share. So this is the battle map of the Prairie Grove, Arkansas. We find ourselves December 7, 1962. This is courtesy of the American Battlefield Trust. So, start of the Civil War, Missouri, a slave state, voted to stay in the Union. Confederate government sent an army out of Arkansas to change their minds, but the Union Army repelled them. Union General Blunt led an army into Arkansas to crush the Confederate Army of the Trans-Mississippi with mixed results. Confederate General Hinman led his army to Cane Hill, Arkansas to crush Blunt's Union Army. Union General Blunt caught wind of this and sent word to Union General Herron in Springfield, Missouri to bring reinforcements, which included Lieutenant Colonel Black and the 37th Illinois Volunteer Infantry. While on the march to Cane Hill, Confederate General Hinman caught wind of the Union General Herron's march into Arkansas and diverted his troops to meet the new threat. So Confederate General Hinman took a defensive stand on a ridge outside of Prairie Grove, Arkansas. So this is where we find ourselves on December 7th. Is that Herron's coming in from the north with Colonel Black and the 37th Illinois. In the morning, General Herron sent in a couple of units, but they got repulsed by the Confederate Army. And then in the afternoon, Union General Houston sent in a couple of units, which included the 37th Illinois. Now, Colonel Black was riding into this assault with his right arm in a sling a wound that he got at Pea Ridge. And this wound pretty much disabled his right arm for the rest of his life. During the charge, Lieutenant Black was struck in the left arm, but stayed in command during the assault. And according to the Medal of Honor citation, he captured an artillery battery, and it was presumably from an Arkansas unit. According to the history tuber, history guy, history that deserves to be remembered, the Battle of Prairie Grove ended Confederate hopes for control of Missouri. I'll leave a link to the history guy's vid to the Battle of Prairie Grove in the description below. I'll also leave a link to history tubers have history will travel in the vid on an animated battle map of Prairie Grove. Lieutenant Colonel Black went on to participate in Vicksburg, Red River, Mobile, and Fort Blakely. On March 12, 1866, Colonel Black was appointed the grade of Brevet Brigadier General for gallant services in the assault on Fort Blakely. In 1896, a review of numerous actions during the war resulted in General Black being awarded the Medal of Honor for his actions at Prairie Grove. After the war, in 1872, Black ran unsuccessfully for lieutenant governor and declined the gubernatorial nomination. In 1884, Black was considered as the vice presidential candidate on the Democratic ticket with Grover Cleveland, but declined. In 1885, he was appointed U.S. Commissioner of Pensions. In 1892, he was elected to Congress. In 1893, he declared himself a mayoral candidate for the city of Chicago. And in 1903, served as National Commander-in-Chief of the GAR. He died in 1915 in Chicago, Cook County, Illinois, and he's buried here at Spring Hill Cemetery and Mausoleum, Danville, Vermilion County, Illinois. This is the final resting place of Benona Sprague, born in 1833 in Onondaga County, New York. He's a Medal of Honor recipient. Before I continue, I'd like to thank you for watching this vid. Please subscribe, like, comment, share. Please consider supporting this channel via my PayPal account. The link is in the description of the homepage of this YouTube channel. So this is a battle map of the Battle of Vicksburg, courtesy of American Battlefield Trust, battlefields.org. So, on May 22nd, 1863, Sprague and the 116th Illinois Infantry found themselves on the eastern defenses of Vicksburg. Grant arrived with the Army of the Tennessee on the 19th, and he ordered Sherman to attack the northern defenses of Vicksburg, and that didn't go very well. So on the 22nd, which is what we see here, Grant ordered an attack on the entire 8-mile front of the eastern defenses of Vicksburg. And the 116th found themselves under Smith and Blair. Their assignment was to attack the stockade redan. They wanted to do an advanced storming party. They took volunteers, to which Benona Sprague was one of them. And for this effort, he won the Medal of Honor for his efforts. I'm going to leave a link in the description below for a vid from the American Battlefield Trust, their vid on the Vicksburg campaign. I'm also going to leave a link in the description below to the history guy, History Deserves to be Remembered, his vid on the Medal of Honor and the Civil War. Corporal Sprague died 1908, Saybrook, McLean County, Illinois. He's buried here at Riverside Cemetery, Saybrook, McLean County, Illinois. This is the final resting place of Martin McHugh, born in 1837 in Ireland. He's a Medal of Honor recipient. Before I continue, I'd like to thank you for watching this vid. Please subscribe, like, comment, share. I'd also appreciate financial support via my PayPal. The link is in the description of the homepage of this YouTube channel. This is the battle map of the Siege of Vicksburg. It's a courtesy of the American Battlefield Trust, battlefields.org. So, on May 27th, General Grant in the Army of the Tennessee is shoring up his siege lines around Vicksburg. And on his right flank, General Sherman and his 15th Corps was shoring up the right flank, but he was having problems on his right flank from Confederate artillery batteries about right here. So he called in the Navy, the USS Cincinnati, to come in and deal with this problem. So I'll just read from Martin McHugh's citation, Medal of Honor citation, to describe the rest of the battle. So, he served on the USS Cincinnati during the attack on Vicksburg batteries, and at the time of her sinking, May 27, 1863, engaging the enemy in a fierce battle, the Cincinnati, amidst an incessant fire of shot and shell, continued to fire her guns to the last, though so penetrated by shell fire that her fate was sealed. Serving bravely until this action, McHugh was conspicuously cool under the fire of the enemy, never ceasing to fire until this proud ship went down, her colors nailed to the mast. I'm going to leave a link to the American Battlefields Trust animated vid to the Vicksburg campaign, and I'm also going to leave a link to the chapter on the Siege of Vicksburg from the History Channel's special on Grant in the description below. Morton died in 1905 in Danville, Vermilion County, Illinois, and he's buried here at Resurrection Cemetery, Danville, Vermilion County, Illinois. This is the final resting place of John G. Miller, born in 1841 in Bavaria, Germany. He's a Medal of Honor recipient. Before I continue, I'd like to thank everyone for checking out this video. Please subscribe, like, share, and comment. So we're looking at the battlefield map of Gettysburg, the third day of Gettysburg. This is courtesy of the American Battlefield Trust, battlefields.org. So on the third day, Sergeant Miller and the 8th Ohio Infantry, Volunteer Infantry, found themselves on the right flank of the Union line. So on the third day's attack, the initial attack, the 34th North Carolina was under Pettigrew, and they were headed to the Union line. And somehow, when the 34th North Carolina Volunteer Infantry came close to the line, Sergeant Miller trotted out, killed the flag bearer, grabbed his flag, and came back. Now, back then, losing your battle flag was a colossal psychological blow to that unit, as well as the unit that captured the flag. I'm sure that was a great booster to their morale. So after that happened, the Union line reformed, and the 8th Ohio, I'd imagine, found themselves over here somewhere by the clump of trees, which of course was Lee's objective, that clump of trees. So now picket's coming. So the 8th Virginia Volunteer Infantry is under picket. So as soon as they get close enough, the 8th Virginia got close enough, the 38th Virginia got close enough. A group of soldiers, Union soldiers, corralled the flag bearer. Sergeant Miller grabbed the flag, and he was credited with capturing 2 flags. Now, anyone who captured an enemy flag automatically received the newly created Medal of Honor. Now, from what I've read, he did not receive 2 Medals of Honor, but still that was quite an accomplishment to capture 2 flags in one day during one charge. Sergeant Miller died in 1909 in Champaign County, Illinois, and he's buried here at St. Mary's Cemetery in Champaign County, Illinois. This is the final resting place of Joseph Kimball, born in 1844 in Littleton, Grafton County, New Hampshire. He was a Medal of Honor recipient. Before I continue, I'd like to thank you for watching this vid. Please subscribe, like, comment, share. Please consider contributing to this channel via my PayPal. The link is in the description of the homepage of this YouTube channel. So this is a battle map of Sailor's Creek. It's courtesy of Wikipedia on the article on the 2nd West Virginia Calvary. I will leave a link in the description below to the article on the 2nd West Virginia Calvary, as well as the Battle of Sailor's Creek. So on April 6, 1865, Joseph Kimball and the 2nd West Virginia Cavalry found themselves here at Sailor's Creek. Historians say there's 3 separate battles going on at Sailor's Creek, and this one is at Marshall's Crossing. So General Lee had abandoned Richmond, and he's headed east in an effort to conserve his army. to hope to fight another day. So Sheridan, in the command of the Calvary Division of Grant's Army of the Potomac, Wright's 6th Corps, Army of the Potomac, had General Ewell cornered here at Marshall's Creek. So Custer, being the brash officer that he was, grabbed a bunch of captured Confederate flags, and he was parading in front of the Confederate lines with these flags. Well, back then, if you lose your battle flag to an opposing army, that was a colossal embarrassment. So the Confederates were pretty much enraged by this. So they expended their first volley trying to shoot at Custer. So Kephart, realizing this, asked permission to attack because the Confederates will have to reload. Custer gave permission, and Kephart attacked the Confederate lines, and it was there that Joseph Kimball captured the 6th North Carolina Infantry flag, battle flag. I will leave a link in the description below to a History Tube vid on the Battle of Sailor's Creek, the History Tube, GettsburgNPS. Private Kimball died in 1910 in Bartonville, Peoria County, Illinois. And he's buried here at Evergreen Memorial Cemetery, Bloomington, McLean County, Illinois. This is the final resting place of Morton A. Reed, born in 1843 in Brockport, Monroe County, New York. He's a Medal of Honor recipient. Before I continue, I'd like to thank you for watching this vid. Please subscribe, like, comment, share. Please consider supporting this YouTube channel via my PayPal. The link is in the home page on this YouTube channel. Lieutenant Reed found himself at Appomattox Station on April 8th. This is the battle map of Battle of Appomattox Station, courtesy of American Battlefield Trust, AmericanBattlefield.org. I'm going to read an excerpt from the Wikipedia article on the Battle of Appomattox Station. I'll post the entire article in the description below if you want to read the entire article. So following the withdrawal of General Lee's army on Northern Virginia from their defenses at Petersburg, Virginia, after the Battle of Five Forks, Third Battle of Petersburg, and the Battle of Sutherland Station, the Union Army closely pursued the Confederate westward on parallel and trailing routes. The Confederates, short of rations and supplies, suffered numerous losses from desertion, straggling, and battle, especially the Battle of Sailor's Creek on April 6th. After the Battle of Cumberland Church on April 7th, Lee's army made a third consecutive night march in an effort to stay ahead of the Union forces. Union cavalry, under the command of Major General Philip H. Sheridan, made a long ride of about 30 miles on April 8, 1865, in order to capture Confederate supply trains at Appomattox Station, get ahead of the Confederates, cutting off their routes. Now, the citation for Lieutenant Reed's Medal of Honor says, capture of 1st Texas Infantry, the flag. But as you can see on this battle map, nowhere does it say where the 8th New York Cavalry or the 1st Texas Infantry were in the line of battle. I contacted people at Monroe County, New York, and they didn't know. I contacted people at the Danville National Cemetery, and they looked into it, but they couldn't figure it out. So I'm appealing to bigger brains than me to try to figure out exactly what happened on the events of April 8, exactly what happened. People like Simon Whistler from War Fronts, and today I found out. Or Professor Wilder from Have History Will Travel, or JD from History Underground, or the History Guide, History That Deserves to Be Remembered can figure this out, or Mr. Beat can figure this out, or Professor Patton Hall from Cynical Historian can figure this out, or maybe even Tyler Novak, or maybe even PragerU. I'm sure it wouldn't take much for PragerU to figure this out. So I issue a challenge to the PragerU haters out there to prove your superior intellect. Exactly what happened? Where on this battle map did the 8th New York and the 1st Texas Infantry meet up? Good luck. Lieutenant Reed died in 1921 in Danville, Vermilion County, Illinois, and he's buried here at the Danville National Cemetery in Danville, Vermilion County, Illinois. This is the final resting place of Henry August Miller, born in 1839 in Germany. He is a Medal of Honor recipient. Before I continue, I'd like to thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe, like, comment, share. So this is the battle map of Fort Blakely, Alabama. This is courtesy of the Fort Blakely Historical Society, blakelyparks.com. So, on July 9th, 1965, the 8th, Captain Miller and the 8th Illinois Volunteer Infantry found themselves under the command of General Dennis, and their task that day was to storm Redoubt number 5. Now, this battle was important because the Tennesaw River was the last river into the last access to the interior of the Confederacy. But even though the Spanish fort at Mobile had been taken, they still needed to take Blakely because on the very day of this battle, General Lee was surrendering at Appomattox Courthouse. So like I said, the 8th Illinois Volunteer Infantry's assignment was to take Redoubt number 5, and on the other side of that redoubt was the 63rd Alabama Volunteer Infantry. So as soon as the 8th Illinois breached Redoubt number 5, they took prisoners, they took cannon, and they captured the battle flag. Captain Miller was credited with capturing the battle flag. Now the effects of this were as usual. There was a great psychological blow to the unit that lost their battle flag, and of course the unit that captured it, it was probably a great encouragement. And of course, Captain Miller automatically got a Medal of Honor that was just newly created. Captain Miller died in 1919 in Champaign County, Illinois, and he's buried here in Mount Hope Cemetery and Mausoleum in Urbana, Champaign County, Illinois. This is the final resting place. Ernest Calvin Williams, born in 1887 in Broadwell, Logan County, Illinois. He's a Medal of Honor recipient. Before I continue, I'd like to thank everyone for watching this vid. Please subscribe, like, comment, share. I'd appreciate if you support this channel via my PayPal account. The link will be in the description of the homepage of this YouTube channel. So in November 1916, Williams found himself in the Dominican Republic. I'm going to read an article from thoughtco.com called The U.S. Occupation of the Dominican Republic. written by Christopher Minister. I'm going to read portions of it. I'm going to leave a link in the description below to the entire article if you want to read the article in its entirety. At the time, it was common for the USA to intervene in the affairs of other nations in the Caribbean or Central America. The reason was the Panama Canal. Completed in 1914 at a high cost to the United States, the USA felt that any nation in the vicinity had to be closely watched and, if necessary, controlled in order to protect its investment. Like many Latin American nations, the Dominican Republic experienced great growing pains after independence. It became a country in 1844 when it broke away from Haiti, splitting the island of Hispaniola roughly in half. 1911, Dominican President Caceres was assassinated, and the nation erupted once again in a civil war. By 1916, Juan Jimenez was president, but his supporters were fighting openly with those loyal to his rival, General Arias, former Minister of War. As the fighting got worse, the Americans sent Marines to occupy the nation. Jimenez did not appreciate the gesture, resigning his post rather than taking orders from the occupiers. That wasn't the end of the resistance. In November, Governor Perez, the city of San Francisco de Macorís, refused to recognize the occupying government. Hold up at an old fort. I'm going to continue reading from an excerpt from an article in Wikipedia about the Battle of San Francisco de Macorís. I'm going to leave a link in the description below if you wish to read the whole article. During the night of 29 November, Lieutenant Williams, along with 12 Marines, crept as close to the entrance of the fort as possible without arousing suspicion. On a signal from Lieutenant Williams, the Marines made a dash for the open gate. The Dominicans, taken by surprise, were unable to slam the gate closed. The rebels were able to let loose with a fusillade from the fort, which cut down 8 of the Marines in their rush to the gate. Williams and the remaining 4 men pushed their way through the entrance, firing their weapons as they were burst into the fort. After a fierce 10-minute firefight, the fort was secured, and the fight was over. During the battle, some 200 of Perez's followers were able to escape the fort, but another 100 were forced to surrender inside the fort. 8 of the 12 U.S. Marines were wounded during the battle. Lieutenant Williams received the Medal of Honor. I'm going to leave a link in the description below to HistoryTube's The Great War vid on the Banana Wars that pertains to the Dominican Republic. Lieutenant Williams died in 1940 in Seneca Falls, Seneca County, New York. He's buried here at Woodlawn Cemetery in Indianola, Vermilion County, Illinois. This is the final resting place of Arthur J. Forrest. Born in 1895 in St. Louis City, Missouri, he's a Medal of Honor recipient. Before I continue, I'd like to thank you for watching this vid. Please subscribe, like, comment, share. Please consider contributing to this channel via my PayPal account. The link is in the homepage of this YouTube channel. So this is a battle map of the Meuse-Argonne offensive, courtesy of the Library of Congress, LOC.org. So I'm going to leave a link in the description below to an article from Wikipedia on the Meuse-Argonne offensive. So on November the 1st, the 89th Division found themselves near Remonville, France, which is in that box right there. And I'm going to read from the citation of Sergeant Forrest, his Medal of Honor citation. When the advance of his company was stopped by a burst of fire from a nest of 6 enemy machine guns without being discovered, Sergeant Forrest worked his way single-handedly to a point within 50 yards of the machine gun nest. Charging single-handedly, he drove out the enemy in disorder, thereby protecting the advanced platoon from annihilating fire and permitting the resumption of the advance of his company. Now, I'm going to leave a link in the description below to 3 History 2 vids. One is by Bart Parrish. It's an animated battle map of the Meuse-Argonne Offensive. One's from the Pritzker Military Museum. It's an overview of the Meuse-Argonne Offensive. And I'm going to leave one from the history guy, History That Deserves to Be Remembered, his vid on the importance of the Meuse-Argonne Offensive to the U.S. Army and to the United States as a whole. Sergeant Forrest died in 1964 in St. Louis City, Missouri, and he's buried here at Grandview Burial Park in Hannibal, Rawls County, Missouri. This is the final resting place of Kenneth D. Bailey. Born in 1910 in Pawnee, Oklahoma, he's a Medal of Honor recipient. He's a 1935 graduate of the University of Illinois, where he was a member of the National Society of Pershing Rifles. He was commissioned as second lieutenant in the Marine Corps in 1935. Before I continue, I would like to thank you for watching this vid. Please subscribe, like, comment, share. This is the battle map of the Battle of Edson's Ridge during the Guadalcanal campaign on September 12, 13, 1942. This is courtesy of Wikipedia. So, on the 12th and 13th of September, Henderson Field was the most valuable piece of real estate on Guadalcanal and in the Solomon Islands. The Marines had it, and the Japanese wanted it back. So Colonel Edson sent his battalion south of the Henderson Field. This was the initial line of defense on the 12th, but the fighting was so intense that they had to retreat back toward the ridge in a U-shaped form, and this included Company C, Major Bailey's Company C, which was on the right flank. So I'm just going to read the description from the Medal of Honor citation on what happened on that day. So Major Bailey was commanding officer of Company C, 1st Marine Raider Battalion, during the enemy Japanese attack on Henderson Field, Guadalcanal, Solomon Islands, on September 12th and 13th, 1942. Completely reorganized following the severe engagement of the night before, Major Bailey's company, within an hour after taking its assigned position as battalion reserve between the main line and the coveted airport, was threatened on the right flank by the penetration of the enemy into a gap in the main line. In addition to repulsing this threat while steadily improving his own desperately held position, he used every weapon at his command to cover the forced withdrawal of the main line before a hammering assault by superior enemy forces. After rendering invaluable service to the battalion commander in stemming the retreat, he reorganized the troops and extended the reserve position to the left. Major Bailey, despite a severe head wound, repeatedly led his troops in severe, fierce, hand-to-hand combat for a period of 10 hours. His great personal valor, while exposed to constant and merciless enemy fire, and his indomitable fighting spirit inspired his forces to heights of historic endeavor, which enabled them to repulse the enemy and hold Henderson Field. Major Bailey died a couple of weeks later on September 27th, 1942 in Guadalcanal, and he's buried here at Spring Hill Cemetery in Danville, Vermilion County, Illinois. This is the final resting place of Robert Charles Burke. He's born in 1949 in Monticello, Pike County, Illinois. He's a Medal of Honor recipient. Before I continue, I'd like to thank you for watching this vid. Please subscribe, like, comment, share. Please consider supporting this channel via my PayPal account. The link is in the homepage of this YouTube channel. This is the battle map of day 13 of Operation Allen Brook. This is courtesy of Marine Corps Veterans Tanker Historical Foundation, mcvthf.org. I'm going to leave a link to this website on the description below, because they have a day-by-day account, battle maps of the progression of Operation Allen Brook. I'm going to read an excerpt from the Wikipedia article on Operation Allen Brook. I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to read the article in its entirety. Go-Nye Island was located approximately 25 miles north of Da Nang to the west of Highway 1, together with the area directly north of the island nicknamed Dodge City by the Marines due to the frequent ambushes and firefights there. It was a Viet Cong and People's Army of the Vietnam stronghold and base area. While the island was relatively flat, the small hamlets on the island were linked by hedges and concealed paths, providing a strong defense network. Go-Nye was the base for the VC Group 44 headquarters at Quang Nam Province. The R-20 and V-28 battalions and the T-3 Super Battalion, and it was believed elements of the PAVN 2nd Division. The 3rd Battalion, 7th Marines, had conducted Operation Jasper Square on the island during April, and minimal results. At the beginning of May, the 1st Marine Division headquarters ordered a new operation on Go-Nye. I'm going to continue reading the citation of Private Burke, as he found himself here on day 13 on May 17, 1968. For conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his own life, above and beyond the call of duty of service, machine gunner with Company I, 3rd Battalion, 27th Marines, 1st Marine Division in the Republic of Vietnam, May 17, 1968. While on Operation Allen Brook, Company I was approaching a dry riverbed with heavily wooded tree line that bordered the hamlet of Li Nam, when they suddenly came under large, well-concealed enemy force, which halted the company's advance and wounded several Marines. Realizing the key point of resistance had to be eliminated to allow the units to advance and casualties to be evacuated, Private First Class Burke, without hesitation, seized his machine gun and launched a series of one-man assaults against the fortified emplacement. As he aggressively maneuvered of the edge of the steep riverbank, he delivered accurate, suppressing fire upon several enemy bunkers, which enabled and continued his combative action, which enabled his comrades to advance and move the wounded Marines to positions of relative safety. As he continued his combative actions, he located an opposing automatic weapons emplacement and poured intense fire into the position, killing 3 North Vietnamese soldiers, and as they attempted to flee, Private First Class Burke then fearlessly moved from one position to another quelling the hostile fire until his weapon malfunctioned. Obtaining a casualty's firearm and hand grenade, he advanced further into the midst of the enemy. Observing that a fellow Marine had cleared his malfunctioning machine, and he grasped his weapon and moved into a dangerously exposed area and saturated the hostile tree line until he fell mortally wounded. Private First Class Burke's gallant actions upheld the highest traditions of the Marine Corps and the United States Naval Service. He gallantly gave his life for his country. PFC Burke died in 1968 in Tam Khai, Ton Pho Tam Khai, Quam Nam, Vietnam. And he's buried here at Monticello Cemetery, Monticello, Pike County, Illinois.